Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q1 FY22 earnings conference call of Monte Carlo Fashions Limited, hosted by Emkay Global Financial Services. We have with us today from the management Mr. Dinesh Gogna, Director, Mr. Sandeep Jain, Executive Director, Mr. Rishabh Oswal, Executive Director, Mr. R.K. Sharma, CFO, and Mr. Ankur Gaba, Company Secretary. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal for an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Devanshu Bansal from Emkay Global. Thank you, and over to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I would like to management team and also thank them for giving us this opportunity. Without taking much time, I shall now hand over the call to the management team for their opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us to this earnings call of Monte Carlo Fashions to discuss the financial and operating performance for Q1 Financial 22. I would like to highlight that certain statements made or discussed onto the conference call today will be a forward-looking statements, and a disclaimer to this effect has been included in the result presentations shared with you earlier. Result documents are available on company's website and also have been updated on the stock exchanges. A transcript of this call would also be made available on the investor sections of the company's website. Now let me share with you the financial and the operational performance for this quarter in discussion. The company reported a revenue of 41.7 crore during the Q1 Financial 22 as against 11.2 crore in Q1 Financial 21. We continue to witness a decent contribution from online channel sales, which is 4.8 CR this year as compared to 70 lakhs in the last financial year. EBITDA loss for this quarter was 8.6 crore against 14.3 crore Q1 Financial 21. Loss at PAT level was lower at 10 crore as against 13.5 crore in Q1 Financial 21. Our balance sheet continues to remain robust and we continue to enjoy a net debt-free status. We have a cash balance of 197 crore, which comprises of cash and bank balances along with current and non-current investments. Long-term borrowing is at 10.7 crore as of June 21 as compared to 11.7 crore of March 21, which shows our efficiency in servicing the debts. Monte Carlo Fashion continues with its endeavor to build a leading branded apparel company with a well-diversified product portfolio such as cotton, woolens, kids, home furnishing. Apart from cotton segment, we also produce different other garments. We also produce cotton and cotton blended t-shirts in economy category under the brand Clock and Decker. The ability to tap varied segments of market provides the company with tremendous opportunities for growth in coming years. The key strength is wide and growing distribution network with a diversified presence across India. The company's products reach the end user through different distribution channels. At present, the company has presence through 1265 plus MBOs, 296 EBOs, and 224 national chain stores. Even during the tough time of COVID pandemic, last financial year, the company was able to open 28 new stores in different regions and at the same time closed few non-performing stores also. As mentioned, we are witnessing a strong traction on online sales channels. With regard to online sales, we are looking to focus more on selling through our own portal, but also our products are available on various e-commerce websites such as Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Jabong, and Captions. Our growth strategy is to focus more on cotton and cotton blended apparels, catering to all seasons and expansion of our retail distribution network. Given the uncertainty gathered by the continually evolving COVID-19 pandemic, the company has implemented stringent cost control measures across the organization to conserve cash to address any unwanted situations resulting from this pandemic. The company continues to enjoy a comfortable net cash position, and with adequate banking limits in place, its ability to service debts and financing obligations on time remain. Healthy credit terms with the suppliers help the company to operate the business smoothly. Monte Carlo Fashions Limited can sustain robust growth without any significant capital expenditure and is fully geared to withstand the challenges as the situation unfolds on the back of its financial and its operational strength. We can now open the floor for a question and answer session. If any of you have any queries post this earnings call, you may connect us or to Dickinson World, our investor relations advisors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handset while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, please enter star and one at this time. First question is from the line of Zaki Nasir, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. And I think congrats to you on squeezing the cost of the operations in a difficult time. Sandeep bhai, last con call, you had broadly given a guidance in terms of the top line for the current year, which you said there will be a growth over March 20, sir. So does that still stand, sir? And how does the high cotton and yarn prices affect our operations currently, sir? This is the first part of my question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Zakir. See, basically, now if we see, we are giving a financial year's guidance for this financial year is 15 to 20% growth over last year. So that is what we have discussed in our management meeting, and we stick with this guidance also.
Last year means March 20, sir? Sorry to interrupt you.
See, on March 20, we are hopeful of achieving or surpassing the COVID-19 pre-COVID sales also. That is March 20. But I'm talking about the growth for this financial year over the last year should be around 15 to 20%.
Okay, sir.
And as far as your question about the high cotton prices are concerned, yes, there have been increase in the cotton prices, but fortunately we have been able to pass all the cost increase to our garments and which have been booked also. So going forward, we do not see any effect of as far as raw material price increase of cotton yarn is concerned. We have already passed on that to the customers.
Sir. And sir, we have a reasonable cash balance of 197 crores. There are a lot of small brands which are maybe up for sale. And Monte Carlo had indicated your willingness to go in for acquisition for inorganic growth. I mean, what is your thoughts on that part of it, sir, to utilize our balance in this period, sir?
You rightly put this question to us, but the issue with, I think, most of the brands which are available right now are having a very distressed sales, and also the brand equity with those brands is not available. So the kind of EBITDA we enjoy and the kind of brand reputation we are not able to have anything related to our brand which we can acquire. So those options are definitely available with us, but no option is looking very attractive at this point of time. So cannot comment much on this.
Okay, sir. But as we already in the second quarter, you must already be booking your winter sales. The pipeline looks strong to you, sir?
We are very confident going forward in this financial year. There are two reasons for that. The first reason is that definitely there is a strong order book which has come to us in this financial year. That is the first reason which we are confident of it. Second reason is that there is a very less stock at the retail level, whether it is EBOs or MBOs. So that gives us another push. So I think both these factors makes us very confident to state that we can easily grow 15 to 20% or even surpass if the situations are improving as far as COVID cases are concerned. And if there is no third wave or no COVID disruptions, I think we are very confident of achieving the 15 to 20% growth rate which we have commented earlier.
Thanks a lot, sir, and best of luck to Team Monte Carlo and you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Monica Arora from Share Giants Wealth Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I wanted to ask that how have the gross margins and EBITDA margins from online channel as compared to other channels?
Previously we used to see that there has been a difference in the gross margins in case of online and other channels. But fortunately, after the pandemic and all these things, now the gross margin with the offline and online channels are almost same. So that's a very good news for the company and for our investors.
Okay. And if we see the investor presentation, your MBO and distributed numbers have gone down sharply. So any particular reason for this, and how do you see this panning out in the near to medium term?
We need to see our full year's number because the first quarter number is not reflecting the actual picture of particularly our sales. What happens is that when the COVID cases comes, the distributor and MBOs didn't take the deliveries. That is why the sale is also less. But our own EBOs, they actually took the deliveries because they know that they have to sell this garment as we have July, August also. So that's the reason the sales in MBO and distribution channel is down. But I think if we go for as far as overall yearly sales are concerned, we'll definitely grow the last year's numbers also.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'll come back.
15-20%.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, we would like to remind participants that you may press star and 1 to ask a question. Our next question is from the line of Ritika Ghosh from Sequent Investments. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for taking my question. Could you please elaborate on what would be our CapEx plans in the near to long term, like around 4 to 5 years? And also, how is the company planning to expand its reach? Like, are there any special plans to expand the online sales further?
Thank you, Ritika. The CapEx plan, I think the guidance which even we gave in last year also, it is around 15 to 20 CR, and going forward for next 4 to 5 years, we think we'll be able to have a sufficient CapEx of 15 to 20 CR to fulfill whatever CapEx is required by the company. And as far as expansion is concerned, I think definitely I have with me Mr. Rishabh. He can also give his ideas on how we are improving our online sales and how it is shaping the other channels as well.
Hi, good morning. So as you've seen that the online sales have grown considerably in this quarter also, and going forward we are to answer your question of expanding the reach, we are currently so we've done a turnover of 4.9 crores as against 70 lakhs through the online channels, and full year we are targeting a turnover of around 50 crores from the which was 37 crores last year. To expand our online channel, we are reworking on the website, and you'll see a new website up. Along with that, we are also working with our online partners like Amazon and Flipkart to develop special range for them, which does not compete with the offline channels in terms of discounting. And we are focusing on growing our own portal sales as well as shifting our sales from sale or return towards outright sales to our online channel partners, which gives us better control over our inventory.
Thank you so much. That was helpful.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Rajesh Kumar from AUM Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for excellent set of results and taking my question. I wanted to discuss on the outlook, sir. So as the second wave has receded, and your performance has also improved year on year drastically. So wanted to take like how are you seeing improvement overall on a yearly perspective, and what is the outlook going forward as the COVID takes like backseat?
I think as I mentioned earlier also that we have a very strong order book as compared to last year. So that is actually giving us the confidence of giving a projection of 15 to 20% for yearly growth as compared to last year, and I think we will be going to achieve or surpass even the pre-COVID sales also. Okay. So unfortunately, the first quarter was washed out because of the COVID situation, and otherwise I think this could have even company would have revised their guidance earlier also if the COVID was not there in first quarter. And if we see the Q3 and Q4 of last year, we were achieving the pre-COVID sales at that point of time also. So going forward, I think if we see that we do not have that much of severity of the third COVID wave, which we had in COVID second wave. So as the vaccination is also picking up, and we have seen that after vaccination, the symptoms are not that severe and hospitalization is not that much required. So that gives us the confidence that economy will keep on opening up. So there will be no more restrictions by the government. So I think if we see the order book as far as our order book is concerned and seeing the economic restrictions, which is also lifting up, so that gives us the confidence that we should be having a very good year ahead as compared to last financial year.
That's very heartening to hear, sir. Sir, another question, if I can take up, is on the on your balance sheet, which is one of the most reversed in the sector, and using this balance sheet strength, so can you think of sir, any plans of rewarding the shareholders by way of bonus shares or dividends? Anything planned, sir, on that front?
I think the company has been very generous in giving the dividends and also to benefiting our stakeholders and shareholders. The company has gone for every year since its inception, they have given the dividend, and 1 year when the dividend was not given, company has gone for buyback, where 55 crore was spent. Even the promoters did not participate in that. So that shows the intention of the promoters that how we would like to benefit our shareholder. And going forward also, I can strongly say that the company will always act in the benefit of its shareholders and investors. And the company is definitely, even in this year, company has given a dividend of 150%, which is a 15 rupees a share, even in the pandemic year. So by that you can assess that the company's intention to benefit its shareholders.
In buyback year also we paid the dividend.
Even in buyback year also we gave the dividend of 5 rupees. So that shows that we are definitely acting in the interest of our minority shareholders.
We are investor friendly and we are interested in tasting.
Yes, sir. So intention is definitely there. So that's why I was waiting to see your comments on that. Can we utilize that cash to reward the share? That shares are definitely undervalued and have a lot of potential. So also on the front, another aspect to look at is the growth prospects, sir. So will you be doing some major capex to increase the pace of the growth of the company, something like that, sir? Any thoughts on that?
See, basically, the garment industry is not that much of capex intensive. It's a labor intensive industry, and also we have our cotton division where we mostly outsource our goods. So we do not require much capex to be incurred in our company to get our production increased or the sales increased. It's only in the woolens that we do some capex to add some machines. Otherwise, in other areas, not much capex is required. So we will require a normal capex of 15 to 20 CR, and company can increase its sales without even incurring for capex because of outsourcing model.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. Next question is from Shweta Sheth from Samarthya Capital. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So my first question is on the sales front. How is the situation panning now on the COVID-19 second wave? And also, how do we see ourselves in this time? And what is your assessment?
Shweta, but your voice is not very clear.
Sorry, now?
Hello? If you're on speaker, please repeat the question.
Hello? Is it audible now?
Please repeat the question.
Yes, I'll repeat. Is it audible now? Am I audible?
Yeah, not that much clear, but still, I think there is some issue in the connection.
Is it fine?
Just wanted to check, Shweta, are you on speakerphone by any chance, or if yes?
No, I'm not on speaker.
Okay, please go ahead.
So my first question is on the sales front. How is the situation panning now after the COVID-19 second wave?
Okay. Thank you for asking this question. See, if I talk about July sales, definitely there has been pickup in the sales once the economy opened, as we had restrictions in place in the month of May and June. So now I think two things are happening. One is that economy is also actually growing faster as compared to the first quarter, and we are seeing the more spending spending and more footfalls, even at our exclusive outlets also. So in July, I think we were reaching almost our pre-COVID sales, which was there in 2019. And also the customers are stepping out of their homes and they are going out for vacations, they are going out for shopping. So that is helping the spending. So we are very optimistic going forward in this quarter as well.
Okay. And how do we see ourselves in 4 to 5 years' time? Like, what is your assessment of an apparel industry as a whole in near to medium term?
I think a lot more depends on the economy also, and a lot more depend on the how are the regulations and how are the kind of things we do it in India as far as our government is concerned. But I think as far as Monte Carlo is concerned, we have set internal target of doubling our sales of last financial year in next 5 years.
Okay, just one last question. What is the reason for the increase in employee and other expenses?
See, last year factory was shut, so workers were not there. They had gone to their homes. So that is why there have been reduction in the wages and in salary, and there have been salary cuts also. But this year we have gone back to the 2019 level. We have given the increment, and also all the salaries, everything is there in the place as usual as it was in 2019. So that's the reason that there is an increase in the personal expenses.
Okay. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is a follow-up from the line of Zaki Nasser, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
This question is from Mr. Rishabh. Sir, even on online, the way Amazon is going ahead with its own brand, Amazon Basics. So you would have to be extra agile to counter these kind of actions by the online players. I mean, so what is your outlook in terms of how Monte Carlo wants to position itself online in terms of selling to its own website and a third-party vendor?
So thanks for the question. So one of the things that we at Monte Carlo believe is maintaining the price and discount parity across the offline and online channel. So right now we are focusing more on our own website. As I said, we are reconfiguring and we'll be relaunching our website along with the mobile app in the coming future to focus more on the online segment. Other than that, as in regards to the competition from own brands or portals like Amazon is concerned, we are working closely with Amazon and they've been, we don't see that much of a competition from the private labels of Amazon label. And other than that, we've launched a new exclusive range for our online partners, which is not available offline, which gives them the freedom to use discounting on liberal terms as they could with the brand Monte Carlo.
I would like to add what Mr. Rishabh has said. See, competition has always been there, whether it is from the online channels or Amazon is launching its private brand, but also there was in large format stores, everybody has gone for their private brands. But we have a very strong brand equity, so we have a loyal customer base. So customer who find convenient in buying from online sales channel, if they are not going to offline, they are buying from Amazon Monte Carlo products also. So it's, I think the brand, it's a brand which sells. It's not like that people are going to Amazon for buying some products.
I mean, see, Monte Carlo has been growing past 3-4 years. I've been tracking quarter to quarter. I mean, each year there's been an improvement. Sir, do you foresee a year when Monte Carlo will post a profit in the June quarter, sir? Within the next 3 years? Thank you.
I think this is a very good question which you have asked, and 99.9% we were hopeful to post profit in this quarter, but unfortunately, something beyond our, I would say operations happened. The pandemic occurred. We have a lot of stock which left unsold at our stores, even at our godowns. If it would have gone April and May, so fortunately, but going ahead, if there is no more disruptions going forward from COVID, so you would see that in the Q1 financial 23, we would be posting a profit in June quarter also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Mohit Rathi from CCIBCL. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I have two questions. One is, sir, we are having such a strong brand, Monte Carlo. So how are we getting the traction on the other brands like Alpha, Rocket? I mean, is it worthwhile, or should we just focus more on Monte Carlo? And second question is, one of the participants asked on the dividend, etc. So, sir, I would request that you go for a buyback because shares are so undervalued. So please consider them.
See, I'll come to the first question. As far as Monte Carlo is concerned, it has its own brand equity, but there are certain areas where Monte Carlo is not operating. The reason being is that your brand is basically, you cannot be in all these spheres. You have to be focused on only on one category. So Monte Carlo is a premium brand. In case of Clock & Dagger, it serves the economy segment where Monte Carlo cannot participate or cannot operate in that sphere. And the Rocket brand which we have is totally athleisure wear. So you cannot expect Monte Carlo to be a athleisure brand. Athleisure brand has to be under different name so that customer can recognize and the strength of particular that category with the name associated with it rather than everything under the Monte Carlo. So that is why these brands are actually being started by us, so that in coming times when there is a growth in the category or particularly economy segments, we have something in our hand, and when there is a growth in the category of athleisure, we have something in their hand. At the same time, Monte Carlo and keep enjoying its existing strength and keep on increasing its presence in its existing areas and existing categories. And as far as buyback is concerned, I think that decision can only be taken by the board, so I cannot comment particularly at this point of time in this conference call. But I think the company is doing every effort and attending every conference calls and also having the investor calls time on time. That is why we have seen with all these efforts, I think the shares have moved from 225 to almost 370. It's a jump of 50% as in last 6 months. And company will keep on doing all the efforts to comment, to discuss with their investors, with their stakeholders, and also if there is any query, we are always ready to answer it.
Keep on rewarding also.
And keep on rewarding our shareholders also with the dividends and anything which board decides.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Sanjeev Goswami from Fractal Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir. Can you give me the mix of your own manufacturing versus outsourcing?
See, in case of woolen sweaters, the manufacturing is 100% in-house. In case of cotton garments, it is approximately 25 to 30% is in-house, and rest everything is outsourced.
So what it be approximately will be? How much is manufactured, how much is outsourced?
See, in case of cotton garments, I'm saying 25 to 30% is in-house, and rest balance is outsourced in cotton garments. Yeah.
Okay, and that will contribute how much to your revenues, the cotton one?
Earning?
Cotton contributes how much to your revenue?
Cotton contributes, if I give you a breakup of financial March 21 sales, you can note it down if you have, like,
yeah.
If you want to have, just a minute. 27%. So 28% is contributed by the woolen category, 50% was contributed by the cotton category, 7% was contributed by the kids category, 14% was contributed by the textiles category, and 2% is by accessories.
Okay. And even home textiles must be primarily cotton, right?
Yeah, home textile we have put in a separate category. It is 14% in last year. It's a winter. It's basically a mix of cotton and woolen. We have bed sheets also. We have launched towels also. At the same time, we have blankets and quilts also.
Okay. So in terms of dividend, do we have any specific dividend policy that the board has adopted?
The dividend policy already been adopted by the board in the last financial year, in the last meeting. So it's already been in the place.
Okay, so what is the dividend payout ratio that we have agreed upon?
The minimum dividend policy we have adopted is 20%, but I think company this year has given 150% of the basically the price.
Okay.
Policy.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Policy is also available on the website. You can have a look at it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
20% of the profits.
Next question is from the line of Saurabh Shroff from QRC Investments. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi, good morning. I have a couple of questions. First one on the new brands, etc. I just wanted to understand how do we propose to support multiple brands? I guess Monte Carlo is a well-known brand, advertising, etc. How do you think about supporting and growing the other brands that we spoke about and that we started?
I think the biggest advantage we have is that when it comes from the house of Monte Carlo, definitely there are basically I would say that traction going forward in the market. So in that case, like if we talk about the Clock and Dagger, now there is a completely unorganized segment in t-shirts and in jackets and even in sweaters also, which is being carried by the unorganized market. So now those players, those multi-brand outlets and small retailers, they want the branded goods, but at a lower price. So it made sense for us to go for a brand like economy brand Clock and Dagger. At the same time, it does not dilute our brand equity because there is a lot of price difference in the Clock and Dagger and Monte Carlo. At the same time, we are able to service those customers who wants to buy a brand, but the branded goods are not available in that particular segment. That is how this idea of Clock and Dagger was conceived. And we are getting a very good response and we'll be growing almost, I think, around 40% in this year, in financial year, in Clock and Dagger. And Clock and Dagger, I think, should be around 50th year of revenues in just 5 years of launch. So it's gaining acceptance in the market. At the same time, Monte Carlo is enjoying its premium position.
Okay, because the reason why I was asking that when we sort of look at fashion is anyways a very difficult business, right? Globally, it's one place where there are brands sort of going into bankruptcy or whatever every now and then, and some brands which have been around for years. So what we are seeing is that brands which have sort of lasted the test of time are increasingly becoming brands who are sort of doing one big brand, whether it is a Zara or H&M or whatever, and because then they are able to push all of their marketing power and muscle in that particular category. So that is why I was asking that what is our thought process on that how can we support all of that. But fine, I take your point that at 15 crores, if this grows, then I guess it can have its own budget at a different time and date. And my second question, sir, was on inventory. How do you sort of assess your old inventory, markdowns, write-off? If you can just sort of share internally how you all think about what is a good number to carry. Obviously, there is a certain seasonality in the business and this whole sort of order book cycle. But on an average, when you take write-offs or when you sort of do markdowns and let it go out, if you can just explain to us that, please.
Okay. Just to add, you talked about Zara. Zara is not actually selling its under own Zara name. So it has a premium range which comes under Musumi Jitti. It also has some casual range which comes under Pulse and Buyer. It also has a ladies range which comes under Stradivarius. It also has a brand for a casual premium Bershka. So it's not that Zara is operating only under Zara name. So likewise, we have our own categories depending upon the prices and the segments. So anyway, coming back to the next question, which is how we write down our inventories and how we get rid of. See, what happens is that at a company level, we have approximately around 5 to 6% of the returns, which comes from the different channels. So we have a factory outlets available with us. So all the returns, we sell it on our factory outlets. And whatever is left, which is not sold by the factory outlets, we sell in basically trade lots to our distributors and our smaller MBOs. So that is how we get rid of inventory at the end of this. And normally in the next season, like if we are sitting in this winter season, we are carrying a zero inventory of last winter season. So this is how you can assess that how efficiently we operate as far as controlling our inventory is concerned. So by the time we reach the next season, we just finishes our last season's inventory either by selling it in our factory outlets or selling it to our distributors and our smaller MBOs at a reduced price, so that we should get rid of complete inventory by the time we begin the next winter season.
Basically, at any point of time on a 12-month basis, you are saying that you don't have too much stale inventory in the system, just because that fashion either is not relevant or they are classics, which anyways, if they didn't sell in one season, they will sell next year. As in they are very basics or whatever. Is that the right way to think about it?
We don't have a policy to carry forward the garment for 2 years. We just want that any garment which we have manufactured last year, as far as fashion garments are concerned, we normally sell it to our factory outlets and to our distributors and our trade partners. So we get rid of the inventory. And as far as basics are concerned, yes, if there are some garments which comes back to us, which is in a basic category, which we can sell it in next year, we refinish it and we supply it again to our outlets.
Understood. Thank you very much. This is very helpful and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from Mihir Desai from Desai Investments. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. So my first question would be on a business front, which is that, sir, I do understand that most of our revenue kick in from H2, that is quarter 3 and quarter 4. So as a company, are we doing any strategy or coming to some new regions where we can see that the equality of revenue or business comes in other quarters too?
See, basically, if we see that at one point of time we were having 100% contribution from quarter 3, then definitely it is now only 52 or 53% from quarter 3, and balance comes from the rest of 3 quarters. It's reducing every quarter, so that shows that the other products are picking up, the cotton products are picking up, the textile products are picking up, the cloak and decor segment is growing, the rocket is growing. So I think going forward also, we would definitely see, I won't say that all the quarters will become equal, but definitely the revenue from the third quarter will keep on going down and the revenue from the other quarters will keep on going up. So at one point of time, definitely I would say that the contribution from the other quarters will also grow as far as total yearly sales are concerned.
Okay, understood, sir. Sir, follow up on this, can you please give me a breakup of, if you can share a breakup of our t-shirts and shirts sales happened in FY21, 20 and this quarter? Just a ballpark or the percentage terms is also fine.
I can share the total sales of shirts if you want. So value is around 20 CR, and for t-shirts it is around 85 CR. If I talk about last financial year was that it's a pandemic affected year. So if you want, I can give you a actual sales data of March 20 also, full year, which was not affected by the COVID. In that year we sold around t-shirts around 115 CR, and the shirt value was 30 CR.
Okay. And sir, any strategy to increase these shares? Any strategy over specifically for our shirts and t-shirt sales?
So I would give you a data of financial 18, financial 19, financial 20. You would see that there has been a growth in case of t-shirts and shirt, both category. In financial 18, we sold 86 crores of t-shirts. And then in financial 19, we sold 109. Then in financial 20, we sold 115. So there has been a gradual growth in t-shirts category. And then if we talk about the shirts category, it went from 23 crore to 30 crore. So there has been growth in the shirts category as well. But definitely March 21 is a pandemic affected year, so I'm not taking into account all the drops which has happened. But going forward in this financial year, we have been affected because of the first quarter COVID cases. But going forward, I think we should definitely match the figures of financial 20 as far as the numbers are concerned.
Strategy to grow is there always. Strategy to grow from year to year. So the question was, any strategy to grow?
Yeah, sir. Now on the online front, sir, if you could share the gross profit margin of our online business, gross profit and EBITDA level, if you can share.
Online.
Online, yeah.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, we don't have the exact numbers with us right now, but
If you could give us a ballpark, that is also fine.
Almost same.
It's so the gross margins and the EBITDA margins is almost the same on our online channel as compared to our offline channels, but still we'll send you the exact numbers through email.
Okay, no problem.
Send your email query.
Yeah, sir, I'll do that. And sir, lastly, I just wanted to understand, apart from the numbers and everything, sir, so at ground levels, you have been into business from so many years, and you have seen Indian consumer growing from basically the behavior of Indian consumers growing from so many years. So at ground level, sir, what is your feeling like? How our consumption pattern is different or increasing, or how it is different and how it will impact our business, sir? Of course.
Yeah, I think we have been able to understand the consumers definitely well. The reason being is that there have been a trend of changing the consumer preferences. Accordingly, the brand is also taking actions. We have seen that the consumers are becoming more casual in their approach as far as their buying pattern is concerned. They are moving to casual clothes. So that is why the company is more into casual clothes like jackets, t-shirts and all. And that is helping the company also. So that is how we read the consumer preferences from our feedback from our reviews and other channels, and accordingly company is taking actions also.
Okay. And sir, last on my part, sir, wanted to understand about the festive season. Have you started seeing the demand coming in, or is it still laggard because of COVID?
Yeah, I answered this question in a previous previous question also.
Sure.
Demand has started picking up in July. As the economy opened up and most of the showrooms are now open, barring some of the reviews in UP, which even today they are closed, like Saturday, Sunday they are closed. But barring those, I think demand has picked up in each and every part of the India. And as far as the sales are concerned, we are almost reaching the pre-COVID sales of July 19. So if we take a benchmark of sales. So that shows that the economy is definitely improving and recovering. And also the people are stepping out of their houses, they are going for shopping, and they are also spending more as compared to last financial year.
Okay, sir. Sure. Sir, if I have further questions, I'll join back the queue.
Okay.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Devanshu Bansal from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, just wanted to understand, have prospects for organized players like Monte Carlo improved post-COVID versus pre-COVID, like in terms of faster shift from unorganized to organized?
See, we don't have a data for organized and unorganized, but as far as we are concerned, definitely we have grown as compared to last quarter. In July, we see the sales are picking up, and I think the customer spend is more as compared to last quarter, and that will definitely boost our sales. But as far as data for organized and unorganized share is concerned, I'm sorry to say that those kind of data are even not available in the public domain also.
Sure. And on the ground, are you seeing any supply side challenges with smaller unorganized or smaller organized players?
I think yes, because of disruptions because of COVID, because of labor, there have been challenges for the small scale industry and also for the small players, and also there have been some liquidity challenges also because of COVID. So yes, I would say that small scale industry is more affected than the large industry.
Okay. And in the PPT, you have indicated that we share some part of discount with channel partners. Without going into the details, I just wanted to know if you can share the broad range of discounts that we share with partners.
Basically, we have 4 channels. One is our EBOs channel, then second is SIS channel, then large format channel and online channels. As far as EBOs channels are concerned, so all the discounts are borne by the company. And as far as SIS channels are concerned, again all the discounts and LFS channel are borne by the company. But in case of online, even again all the discounts have been borne by the company. But we pay less commission to them when the USS sale is there, and we pay more commission when the MRP sale is on.
Okay. And lastly, we have seen an increase in our gross margins relatively in both the years versus the full year average, despite higher online mix. So how should we read into this?
I would like Mr. R.K. Sharma to answer on this question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So I'm saying our gross margins in the current quarter as well as last year's quarter are significantly higher than the full year average. So what is the reason for this?
Yeah, actually, gross margin for the current quarter-wise is not natural. It's because of the high due to the accumulation of the stocks, and all the margins are stuck in the accumulated stocks. So it should our annualized gross margin should be looked at, and which is approximately 47%.
Okay, and you indicated sort of that you have taken price hikes. So do we get a benefit here as well, as in we sell inventory with a lower price and at a higher realization?
Can you please repeat the question?
So I'm saying the inventory in your books must be older, which has been recognized at a lower cost of raw material. With increase in raw materials, we have taken price hikes. So does that help in better realization for the old inventory?
No. There is no old inventory. When we book the goods, at that time we cover the cotton yarn as far as the woolen yarns are concerned, and also we have passed on the increase of prices to the consumers. So I don't see there is any benefit of older material which is available with us for this financial year.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question is from C.S. Chaudhary from CFS Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning to the management. My question is linked to the previous question on inventory, benefits or losses being carried. The management in an earlier reply has said that we write off the entire inventory. Let's say winter has ended, we write off, sell off to the distributors or partners the entire inventory. So in Q1, do you actually book a loss or a profit or whatever final realization is of that inventory? Does the Q1 have that impact? Because looking at the numbers now, I feel every year Q1 has those numbers.
First of all, it's not a write-off. We sell it at a lesser price or sometimes below the cost price, anything which is, left after the factory outlet sales. So it's not the write-downs, but yes, we have to bear some losses to get rid of that inventory. And yes, that inventory definitely is getting sold in Q1 also, particularly in case of some of the inventory which is not sold in USS sales. So that has some impact as far as margins are concerned in Q1.
Yeah, my second.
So we book in this quarter.
Yeah, so my second question, or rather a continuation of the first question is, if you look at the presentation that we have uploaded today to the exchanges, on page 6 you are giving Q1 FY21-22, the woolen segment is a minus 18% of the total revenue.
Yeah.
So if I take the total revenue of cotton and home textile, it is around 116%, kids is 2%, 118%.
Yeah.
Minus 18% is the woolen segment.
Yes.
Now, what is the significance of this minus 18%? Is roughly around 8 to 9 crores.
Yeah, this is the returns which we get from our sales channels. So that is why, because of sale return, it has become negative.
All right.
Sale and return.
So the inventories which we write off or we sell, if we have a loss, are we booking that in the top line or in the other expenses?
No, it reduced from the top line also, it reduced from the bottom line also.
Okay. So can we quantify the effect in the current year Q1, please?
Definitely. All the inventory which comes back to us, we take it as a cost, and when it is getting sold, we realize the sales. So all the channels returns woolen material, particularly after March sale has ended. So we book the goods at the cost. So we sell it, we realize the sales value.
Yeah. With due respect, sir, is it possible to quantify this in when you produce the first quarter or in the current quarter? What would be the rough impact of all this? Because we have to understand Q1 negative figure in the light of all these adjustments which happen every year. And since the business nature is changing to more cottons, I think that the winter going away and the disposal of the stock has a distortion on the Q1.
Yeah, you are right.
And it's very difficult to understand in unaudited figures like this. And I think we are not able to appreciate the entire working, and hence the stock price sometimes get distorted. Thank you.
I understand your concern. You have a very valid question. Definitely, when it comes back, it has an impact on the cotton sales also. We can quantify that number separately, that what is the impact of the returns which has come back to us and what is the profit of the cotton garment which we have sold in this quarter.
Sales and return करना दोनों का अलग-अलग quantity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of JK Jain from JK Jain and Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations for the good set of number. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, congratulations for the very good set of numbers. It's not a question, it's some sort of a suggestion. Because while going through the shareholders list, I found that either 74% shares are being held by promoters and 24%, 26% by retail. There is no name such as of any mutual fund, FI, marquee investors. Because the company is your company is a company which has got a very good brand value. There are other shares which you must be knowing. I don't need to quote the name. But those shares are quoting at a P of 70, 80, 90, something like that. And whereas your shares, so whether the management is thinking in any way how to give informations or how to make a conference with those market investors, and because this nowadays it is very important whether it is in Asia, India, USA, unless some big investors are there, the shareholders' value are not fully reflected. So that is one question.
Okay. So
another question is, pardon me.
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, another question is you are going for home textile because the way the China 1+ story is beginning, either you are going very slow. What we have found that or what is the market comprehension is that your group is very conservative, though now most of the shares are going up. But this particular share is, I rather think this has not gone up like other shares. So what is the reason? Because this has got a tremendous value, tremendous brand value and all these things. So these are two major questions. Another third question is, it's a question, because how is your raw material cost in winter, how will be your woolen cost going out? And I think you must be mixing acrylic fiber also because that is a substitute. How is the acrylic fiber costing? Thanks.
So there were three questions from your side. I'll answer one by one. First is about the marquee investors. If you see that the share price which was there at 225 has moved to around 375, that has moved only because many marquee investors have come up. But I cannot disclose their names as they have come up in last 3-4 months. But because of that only the share is actually moving up, because they understood the company better than I think before, and that is why the share price have risen. So as far as home furnishing is concerned, I think your point was how strong we are in home furnishing, or we are not like going ahead. We are going very slow. See, home furnishing is one segment which is growing faster than any other segment in the company right now. It is growing at around 30% from last so many years. Even in the pandemic year, it actually didn't lose a single rupee. It increased its sales as compared to its previous year sales. Even in this year, we are expecting to have a growth of more than 25%. So this is one segment. Even this is contributing now more than 100 crore of our sales, which is growing at around 25%. So I think it's a very good growth rate going forward at a base of like that now 100 CR. And we see that the product is accepted now much more than before. And we have launched few more categories in this home furnishing. Last year we launched the bed sheets, which is picking up very well. This year we have added towels also, which has started now. So I think going forward we should have a good growth in home textile also.
Good.
And third question was raw material. See, raw material costs have gone up, but we don't feel any pinch of increased raw material prices, because already those prices have been put it onto the consumers. So all the garments, when we go for a trade show, we take into account all the increase in the raw material prices, and accordingly we put the prices. So that has already been absorbed up.
About the acrylic fiber, can you give some idea how much price increase was in acrylic fiber or acrylic?
See, acrylic fiber price, it went up by around 30%. It came down again by 20%. So right now it is, I think, 5 to 7% up as compared to last year. Okay.
Thanks.
So acrylic yarn, at one point of time it went up to 430 rupees. It again came back to 370 rupees. So there's a drop in the prices. And in cotton yarn also, the increase is approximately 30% as compared to last year. Overall impact on the garment is around 5% if we take the raw material component.
Another question, if you will permit, I think that you are just catering to the Indian market. I think, is it because of the brand this particular brand you cannot sell in out of India? Is it any reason, or why the management is not thinking about selling out of India?
We can only do the contract manufacturing. We cannot register our brand in many countries because of the name Monte Carlo, as it's a city name in France. Registering ourselves in Dubai and other countries, but we could not do it. So we are right now focusing only on the domestic market, and I see there's a lot of potential going forward, because we still have more areas to cover. We are very strong in north and east, but still south and western are two areas which I think the company is strengthening its position from last few years. So still there is a lot of growth potential as far as India is concerned.
Another question, simple, and if you permit, because there is enough chance your company sale can quadruplate from this level. I think management must be aware of this, that the volume of sales, the way the brand recall is, the way the sale value can increase manifold. I think that must be in the management mind also. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. To ask a question, please enter star and 1. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments. Over to you.
Thank you very much for your participation. And if there is any question which remains unanswered or any query, please send it to Dickinson World or to Mr. R.K. Sharma and Mr. Ankur Gaba, our CFO and Company Secretary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Emkay Global Financial Services, that concludes today's conference call. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.